We have a special treat. May is the month of mental health awareness, and we thought that we could bring Kelly and Bobby to talk about this topic, the clinical side and the spiritual side. So we're going to let Kelly start us off first.
All right, good morning everyone. As Jasmine said, I am Kelly Hodges, the Resident Services Coordinator over here at Guilford. I have my master's in social work. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker, so I have a little bit of a background on some mental health awareness and things like that. So we're gonna get started. Oh, as long as my PowerPoint doesn't go dark. Okay. And then Bobby's gonna come with us afterwards to talk more about spiritual wellness. So why mental health matters. As people age, they may experience certain life changes that impact their mental health, such as coping with a serious illness or losing a loved one. Although many people will adjust to these life changes, some may experience feelings of grief, social isolation, or loneliness. When these feelings persist, they can lead to mental illnesses such as depression and anxiety. Mental health is important at every stage of life. Effective treatment options are available to help older adults manage their mental health and improve their quality of life. So mental health affects how we think, feel, and live. It's just as important as physical health. It supports emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It impacts physical health, relationships, and quality of life. And 1 in 5 adults experience mental health challenges every year. So you'll find that mental health, physical health, and spiritual health all mesh together, overlap, interplay with each other. So mental health in older adults, by 2030, 1 in 6 people in the world will be aged 60 years or over. At older ages, mental health is influenced not just by a person's physical and social surroundings, but also by the lasting effects of past life experiences and the unique challenges of growing older. Going through hard times, losing strength and ability, and changes in how well someone can function day to day can all lead to emotional distress. Older adults contribute to society as family and community members, and many are volunteers and workers. While most have good health, many are at risk of developing mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety disorders. Many may also experience reduced mobility, chronic pain, frailty, dementia, or other health problems. So aging brings changes, some emotional, some physical. Some challenges we face are grief, isolation, and chronic illness. But mental health struggles aren't just part of getting older. Mental health is nothing to be ashamed of, yet many suffer in silence due to shame, fear, or misunderstanding. Untreated mental health issues can reduce quality of life. Some common stigmas are it's just part of aging, they're just lonely, or they're just forgetful, or they just won't understand therapy, which are not true. What we can do is normalize conversations, talk openly about mental health like we do with physical health, educate families and caregivers by promoting awareness about symptoms and treatment options, and promote accessible support by encouraging the use of counseling, community programs, and telehealth. So seeking help is a strength, not a weakness, which we find a lot of times in our society that, talking about it makes it real. It is real, but talking about it can help, not just you, but everyone. Some common conditions in seniors. As adults experience life difficulties, feeling down every now and then is normal. When those feelings continue to last a few weeks or even months, it may be a sign of something more serious. Depression is a mood disorder that affects the way a person feels, thinks, and acts. Older adults may experience different types of depression, including major depressive disorder, persistent depressive disorder, substance or medication-induced depressive disorder, and seasonal affective disorder. Anxiety and stress are a normal part of life. A little anxiety can be good. For example, if a person has a project to finish, stress can help them focus and finish the job. But too much stress, however, can cause a person to have trouble doing daily activities. and enjoying life. An anxiety disorder happens when a person has too much worry that lasts a long time or gets worse over time. Some anxiety disorders include generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Some of the things that people worry about could be finances, health, family. They can be big or small. There's lots of worries in everyday life. Older adults may also worry about their memory and other thinking abilities, such as taking longer to learn something new. These changes are usually signs of mild forgetfulness or age-related forgetfulness and are often a normal part of aging. However, more serious memory problems could be due to mild cognitive impairment, dementia such as Alzheimer's disease, or other factors beyond normal aging. It's normal to forget things once in a while at any age. I forget things all the time. But serious memory problems can make it hard to do everyday things, and more serious memory concerns are a concern and can be treated. Older adults are also more likely to unintentionally misuse medicines by forgetting to take their medicine, taking it too often, or taking the wrong amount. Some older adults may take substances to cope with big life changes such as retirement, grief and loss, declining health, or a change in living situation. Some signs to look for that may be that indicate a mental health issue would be persistent sadness or low mood, sleep or appetite changes, losing interest in hobbies, confusion and forgetfulness, withdrawing from friends, family, or activities, and then anxiety or excessive worry. Mental health promotion and prevention strategies for older adults focus on supporting healthy aging. This means creating physical and social environments that support well-being and enable people to do what is important to them, despite losses in capacity. So Friends Homes offers a wide variety of programs, events, and educational opportunities designed to support residents' overall well-being, physically, mentally, and socially. Some simple tools to stay well include keeping a routine, staying socially active, moving your body, trying hobbies, puzzles or music, and practicing gratitude or mindfulness. And on the right side of the screen, we talk about the importance of connection. Human connection is one of the most fundamental elements of mental health and emotional well-being. Supportive relationships can act as buffers against stress, anxiety, and depression. A simple conversation with a trusted person can reduce cortisol levels and calm the nervous system. So knowing that loneliness can impact health, utilizing available technology is important, like phone calls or video chats. So try reaching out just to say hello. That can help both you and whoever you're calling, just that simple connection. So like I mentioned, Friends Homes has a huge range of activities, so hopefully there's something for everyone to enjoy. Encompass is our wellness program that helps cover the 6 dimensions of wellness: physical, social, intellectual, spiritual, nutritional, and community outreach. So for physical, our hope is to make physical fitness easier with fitness centers, a swimming pool, and classes such as yoga, tai chi, low impact aerobics, balance and strength exercises, pickleball, and more. Social, as mentioned, researchers continue to suggest the importance of social interactions as we age. So we want to offer residents a chance to find joy and wellness in friendship and fellowship through your choice of different programs offered, like trips to local parks, musical concerts or productions, outings to local sporting events, weekend or overnight outings, and more. Intellectual, we never want to stop learning or sharing by engaging in lifelong learning opportunities and programs, which are offered through trips and different offerings here at Friends Homes. In spiritual, we welcome residents of all faiths to Friends Homes and offer programs such as, and services such as Bible studies, Vesper services, study of other faiths, and more, and Bobby will talk a little bit more about that. Nutritional, our hope is that you will be able to find a balance of healthy eating choices on our menus, along with educational programs hosted by our dining staff, such as our teaching kitchens. And lastly, community outreach. Studies indicate that people who invest their lives in others experience greater feelings of contentment and increased self-esteem. Opportunities include volunteering and other resident-led community initiatives. Okay, managing stress and anxiety. Excuse me. So like I mentioned before, stress is a natural part of life, but when it builds up, it can affect sleep, mood, memory, and overall health. But there is good news. There are healthy ways that we can manage stress. So you don't have to have an elaborate plan, nothing too complicated. You can keep it simple. So some ways to cope with stress, including staying active. So a daily walk or stretching helps your body and mind. Movement boosts mood and reduces tension. Talking to someone, sharing your thoughts with a friend, family member, or trusted person lightens the load. Practicing relaxation with deep breathing or calming music, even just a few minutes can make a big difference. And one big thing is focusing on what you can control. Try to let go of worries beyond your control. Make a list of small doable steps for things you can manage. Limiting news intake may be one that can help lessen stress and worry. So just be mindful of what you're intaking and how that can affect your mood and what's going on. So the bottom line is that we can't avoid stress, but we can learn to manage it. Okay, we're going to take a moment to pause and try a breathing activity together, if you don't mind. You can sit comfortably with your feet on the floor and hands resting gently in your lap. If you like, you can close your eyes or just soften your gaze. So I'll go through the instructions real quick and then I'll walk you through it. So you're going to inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4, drawing the breath down into your belly. You'll hold your breath for a count of 4, holding the air inside your lungs. You'll exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 4, releasing the air completely. And then you're going to hold your breath for another count of 4. Again, just holding the air. Okay, so to begin, inhale deeply through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath gently. Now exhale slowly through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, again, inhale deeply through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to try one more time. Inhale deeply. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold it. Okay, now return to your normal breathing. Notice how your body feels. Perhaps a little more calm or centered. If not, you can always revisit this, but you can use this simple breathing technique anytime you feel stressed or overwhelmed, just to recenter yourself and kind of calm those worries. Okay. So the brain thrives on predictability. When you know what to expect from your day, it reduces uncertainty, which in turn reduces stress and anxiety. Routines can be grounding for individuals with anxiety or depression, offering a sense of control in an otherwise chaotic inner and outer world. Embedding things like regular meals, exercise, and personal hygiene into your day can ensure that these beneficial behaviors happen automatically. So routines streamline your day by automating small choices, for example, when to eat or when to work out, which conserves mental energy for more important and emotionally taxing decisions. So routine also builds momentum. You can complete daily activities to foster a sense of accomplishment and progress. So who here has made a to-do list and felt so proud crossing those little things off, just checking little boxes? Those routines and just having the way to check off those things can help kind of calm that inner stress. Again, routines can boost self-esteem and motivation, which help go a long way. recovery doesn't always mean a cure. It means living a full, meaningful life, even while managing mental health challenges. So it's about regaining a sense of purpose, connection, and well-being. And it's important to remember recovery looks different for everyone, and it's never too late to begin. Resilience is your ability to bounce back from difficulties, whether it's grief, illness, or life changes. Many older adults have already have strong resilience from a lifetime of experiences. So resilience helps you adapt, grow, and face challenges with strength and hope. A gentle reminder is no matter your age or stage in life, healing is possible. You have faced challenges before, and you can face them again with support, hope, and care. Okay, when to ask for help. Signs it's time to ask for help include if you have sadness or worry that lasts and continues, if your struggles are affecting daily life, you have feelings of sadness or hopelessness, you're having thoughts and memories that you can't get out of your head, you're hearing voices or believing things that are not true, or if you're thinking of harming yourself or others. It's at that time you can reach out to someone and we can help you. So ways to get help at friends' homes. You can talk to your doctor, or you can talk to your independent living nurse. You can talk to me or Sydney, your resident services coordinators, or you can talk to Bobby, your spiritual wellness coordinator. You can ask about counseling services, or just talk to a trusted family or friend or family member. So some helpful resources. The National Alliance on Mental Illness in Guilford is a peer-led support group, educational program, and advocacy center for individuals and families affected by mental illness. They have a website up there. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a 24/7 confidential support line for people in distress. It's available via call or text. The Guilford County Behavioral Health Center is a 24/7 urgent care for mental health and substance use crises. They have outpatient therapy, medication management, and peer support. The Veterans Crisis Line is available. And then lastly, the Kellen Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to strengthening resilience among children, families, and adults in communities through trauma-informed behavioral health services focused on prevention, treatment, and healing. We have an exciting partnership coming soon where there will be a provider through the Kellen Foundation located on campus about twice a week that will provide mental health support to residents, and there will be more to come on this soon, so keep an ear out for that. Okay, that's it for me, and we'll move on to Bobby, and then we'll come back up at the end for any questions or discussion, things like that.
Not as tall as Kelly. Well, thank you all for being here. It's good to see people. So, as Kelly mentioned, I'm speaking on spiritual wellness, spirituality, and I just want to start with saying that we are all spiritual beings. We're not just humans walking around in a body with the spirit. My view is that we are spiritual beings walking around in a human body, that we have borrowed just for the amount of time that we are here on this earth. And we want to nurture, just like we want to keep our bodies as healthy as possible so they can last as long as possible. We also want to nurture our spirits so that we have spiritual wellness. So we are all spiritual, and we all can lean into that, and we all can develop spiritual wellness. And that is a common misconception that a person is not spiritual, maybe because they're not religious. So they think, well, I'm not religious, I don't have a faith, I'm not spiritual. And I say, yes, you are. You are spiritual. And what determines spirituality is what gives your life meaning and purpose in this world. So up here, what spirituality is not, you can see it's not necessarily religion, although it can incorporate some elements of religion, your own. If you have a particular religion or faith background, it can incorporate elements of that, such as prayer and reading certain scriptures, devotional booklets. It's not necessarily any particular faith background, although it can also incorporate elements of that. It's not a particular belief system that anyone adheres to, although again it can incorporate that, such as ethics, how we treat people, how we want to be treated. So it is some of that, but not necessarily any one thing of that. I've actually known some atheists, people who do not believe in God or a higher power, but yet who are very spiritual people because of the way they treat others and the environment and animals and how they make those connections and how they find meaning in life. So spirituality goes beyond these things. It goes beyond religion. It goes beyond, it goes beyond your faith and goes beyond your belief system. Okay, so here are just a few things in the illustration here on the right. And Kelly mentioned some of these in her presentation, and there is overlap because we all know that what affects the mind affects the body, and what affects the body can affect the mind. So if you're going through, maybe you just had some bad news about a loved one that's very discouraging and you're feeling upset, and it can affect you physically. And vice versa, if you're getting, you have a physical condition, it can affect you emotionally, it can make you anxious or depressed. So we know there's this connection between the mind and the body, and the spirit incorporates all of that. If you have the foundation of spiritual wellness, I like to think of it as a pyramid. If you can imagine a pyramid, and your spirituality, your spiritual wellness is the foundation for that. And you look at the top, and then you have emotional, social, physical. If any one of those things is off balance and falls off the pyramid, if you have spiritual wellness, it's there to catch it. And it will provide you with the fortitude, the strength that you need to get through whatever it is you're going through. So I just wanted to point out a few things. Kelly mentioned gratitude, being grateful, being thankful for what you have, not for what you don't have. Knowing what you want, meaning setting your priorities, what is important to you at this time in your life. Maybe you have some goals, some things you want to achieve, but what's important to you right now at this time in your life? Maybe you want to become more spiritually well by increasing your daily devotions or prayer. Kelly mentioned meditation. There's guided meditation, there's silent meditation, and being clear with your core belief system. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but why you believe what you believe, and forming, being able to articulate what it is you do believe. Cultivating inner peace, that's the key, I think, is no matter what you've gone through, whether it's things that have happened to you, as Kelly mentioned, that you have no control over, or things you do have control over, is coming to a peace about those things in your life. So spiritual wellness is balance, purpose, finding meaning, connecting, and self-reflection. And one definition would be the ability to achieve peace and harmony in our lives and to be fulfilled by what we do by aligning values with our actions. The Greek philosopher Socrates said that the unexamined life is not worth living. And what he meant by that is that you need to think about yourself in this world and not just go through it not thinking about it. You need to be aware of what's going on around you. So you have this connection between your inner world, yourself, and your outer world, what's going on around you out there. So then your life becomes full with direction. You have direction in your life. You have purpose. And you live your life according to certain beliefs and values. And when we do this, we grow into a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So spirituality, as I talked a little bit about before, it's an integration of your physical and your mental. We could also include emotional and social. It undergirds everything else in our lives. They're all connected. Spirituality is the way we make these connections and how we find meaning and purpose in life. So these are just some of the ways we can make connections, and Kelly mentioned some of these too. People in our lives can be family, friends, acquaintances, co-workers. For example, here at Friends' Homes, you make friends maybe with your neighbors on your floor. You start eating with people in the dining hall. You make friends that way. And hopefully you feel connected with at least some of the staff here at Friends' Homes. You can connect with us and we connect with you. Pets, that's another important thing for a lot of people. We know that pets can become like family members. They're very, very important to us. And when we lose them, we grieve. And that's important to recognize that when we have that loss too. They become our fur babies. They're not just animals, they're our fur babies too. Nature, connecting with nature. Is another way of connecting with our souls, our spirits, and improving our spirituality. Walking in the woods or just walking around and being mindful of the plants, the beauty around us. And we hear a lot about that mindfulness now. What does that mean, mindful? What does it mean to be mindful? You can be mindful in anything that you do. You can have mindful eating. You can really appreciate taking each bite into your mouth and chewing very slowly and mindfully, appreciating the texture and the taste and the smell and how it's nourishing your body. And that's one thing, one example of mindfulness. Mindfulness in nature would be just noticing the animals, the wildlife around you, the squirrels, the birds, listening to the bird sounds, seeing the wind blowing the trees, looking at the flowers. Another connection could be through our work, occupations that we've had in our lives. And for some people that may not have been as important to them, but they found other things to do that were important to them, such as hobbies that have fed their soul. And they realize certain interests that they develop, perhaps maybe you have here as you've gotten older and you've come to realize some things that you really enjoy doing and now have the time to do that you didn't before. And I just want to mention, we have a lot of hobby things going on here, like the woodworking, we have art classes, music. Kelly mentioned a lot of the things, but there's a lot of things going on here. You can definitely find an interest here at Friends' Homes that will feed your soul. Okay, so signs of spiritual wellness. If you feel that you have a purpose in life, or you're working toward that, And it can be multiple purposes at different times in your life. It needn't be just one thing. But if you have a sense of direction in your life, that's a sign of spiritual wellness. Spending time alone in self-reflection. That is so important, to spend time alone. I know some people who don't feel comfortable with being alone. But if you can spend time alone and think about yourself, your world, again, what's important, and maybe have that time where you are also expressing gratitude, whether it's to God or just to the universe in general, depending on what you believe. Being able to explain what you believe and why you believe, and I talked about that a little bit earlier. Caring and acting for the welfare of others, animals, and the environment. So spiritual wellness, yes, we do want to look at ourselves and self-reflect, but it's not just about thinking about ourselves and how we're responding or what's happening to us. We also care for others. We think about how we can contribute. How can we make a contribution? What can we do to volunteer? It also involves respecting animals and respecting the environment, and what can we do for the environment to try to improve its condition, and doing for others, practicing forgiveness, compassion, empathy. I think sometimes it's harder to forgive ourselves than it is to forgive other people, right? We're hard on ourselves. We tend to beat ourselves up sometimes. We can practice that same forgiveness for ourselves that we offer to others, then we are on the road to spiritual wellness. Compassion, showing compassion to us when we forgive ourselves and to others, and showing empathy. And empathy goes a step or two beyond compassion. Empathy is the ability to truly put ourselves in another person's position and try to understand what they are going through. Asking yourself the question, how would I feel right now if I were going through the same thing that this person is going through? And how would I want to respond? How can I respond to this person? How can I help them? Sometimes it's just listening and holding a hand, not doing anything, just being there with them in the present. Spiritual wellness, again, a sign is having a sense of values, ethics, while respecting and honoring the values and ethics of others in their culture, their traditions, and their faiths. So it's not being judgmental, and it goes beyond just tolerating another person's beliefs. When you care about another person, you really want to understand where they're coming from and asking the questions about what's important to them. Why do they believe what they believe? And to try to understand their perspective and where they're coming from. And this all develops your sense of spiritual wellness for yourself as well as for others. So the benefits of spiritual wellness, again, Kelly mentioned some of these too. We have an increased sense of calmness about us, so that whatever happens, we can maintain calmness, we are resilient, we can adapt, we can deal with it in a healthy, mature way. It decreases stress, anxiety, depression. We have better mental and physical health. We have the ability to deal with grief or loss, whatever kind that may be. We know that grief can come about for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's a death. Sometimes it's a loss of independence, loss of our bodies working the way they used to, loss of our car. That's a big one, I think, for people when they move into retirement communities, is they can't drive or don't want to drive anymore, so they don't drive as well as they used to. It can cause greater or lead to greater creativity, and it can be an expression. Spiritual wellness can be creativity can be an expression of your spiritual wellness in art and music, journaling. Again, desire to be of service to others, volunteering, helps people feel connected to other people. They're giving back. And this will definitely improve your spiritual health when you're giving back. You're not just living, for yourself, but you're also contributing to the benefit of other people. Improved sense of community. Connection, again, we talked about connection with other people in the world around you. Feeling that life has purpose and meaning. And greater healing and recovery is another benefit of spiritual wellness. So I know there have been a lot of studies done with prayer, meditation, and mindfulness with people who have had illnesses or surgeries in the hospital. And they have found that people who practice at least one of these things, whether it's prayer, meditation, mindfulness, and people who are also doing this for the people who've had surgery, such as praying for them or sending positive energy to them, they have better and quicker rates of recovery coming out of their surgeries and their illnesses. So how to increase spiritual wellness and health. So there's probably more here that you might be able to think of, but I've just listed some of these here. Kelly mentioned ritual. So this can be two types of ritual. It can be the kind you may think of when you're in a church or a house of worship. It can be lighting a candle for someone. It can be praying a certain prayer. It can be reciting a creed. I know a lot of you are probably familiar with the creeds, Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed. Another ritual is saying the Lord's Prayer for a lot of people. And to think about not just to say it, but what it means to you personally. When you say these things, what does it mean to you? And why do you say these things? So you're not just saying them, but you bring meaning into them and draw them into your spirit, into yourself. Also, the ritual of starting your day, and Kelly mentioned you can start with a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. I don't think we can light candles here, but you can do something such as lighting a battery-operated candle, which signifies the start of your day, and that will, it's just a starting point. You can start, this is how I'm starting my day. This is my ritual to start my morning, and then I might read. I might read out of a daily devotional, or I might write. I might journal. It's just something before you even step out of your apartment that you can do that signifies, this is my time, and I'm going to start the day this way. And it just leads to a better day, I think, when you start your day with something like that. Give yourself a little me time before you start your day and get busy or whatever you're going to do. Yoga, that's a definite connection between the mind and the body because it's mindful moving. Kelly mentioned Tai Chi. The different forms of movement, being mindful of the movement. For example, if you're doing the bike or the treadmill or whatever, you can maybe feel your heartbeat a little bit faster. Put your hand on your heart, being mindful of how the exercise is affecting you. Reading, whether that's a devotional booklet or poetry, short story, journaling, music, art, breath work, like we did. We had that little exercise that Kelly led us in. Daily affirmations, gratitude. We've heard the phrase a lot, having an attitude of gratitude, which I think is just so important. And if you do journaling or just meditation, if you can think of just one thing every day to be grateful for, that will improve your spiritual wellness. Donating your time, your talent, material items. We're talking about volunteer work. I know we've got something coming up with the refugees, the immigrant families, where we're going to be stuffing bags of small items for them, toiletry items. I know some people will get involved with that. But doing volunteer work will improve your spiritual wellness. So it's a balance between spiritual wellness is a balance between your inner world and your outer world. Your inner world, your spirituality, what feeds you, what feeds your soul, what feeds your spirit, what makes you feel good, and then how can you take that into the world and do for other people. It's about finding a reason and a purpose in life. And I do want to say one more thing about this phrase, when we are facing challenges. I've heard the phrase, everything happens for a reason, which is a good way to look at it, but not everybody can think that way. But we find meaning in finding reasons. We make sense of the world when we are able to find a reason for what happens. But I think that not everything does happen for a reason, but even when we can't find the meaning, when we can't make sense of it, then we can make meaning out of it. If we can't find meaning, we make meaning out of it, whatever that may be. For example, I'm thinking of 12-step groups. When people reach a certain level in their 12-step program and they become experienced, and then they may not understand what happened, why they needed a step program, but then they become a mentor or a sponsor to other people in the program. And then they are then making meaning out of what they experienced, and they're then contributing to other people. The woman, Candy Lightner, is the woman who lost her 13-year-old daughter to a drunk driver. And she is the mother, the woman who founded Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD. So she took a really bad thing that happened, and I'm sure could not find a reason for why it happened. She couldn't make sense of that, but she did turn that around, and she made meaning. She couldn't find meaning out of this. So spiritual wellness is incorporating everything that happens to us, the good and the bad, everything in between, and having it nurture our souls so that we can then nurture each other. Another thing I didn't mention was gardening. I think gardening is a solitude thing we can do, and it just the meditative part of it can help nurture our souls. So Kelly mentioned mental and physical wellness are just as important as physical health, because it really is all connected. We know that. It's all connected, and what we do to our bodies can affect us emotionally in opposite ways as well. So if you would like, I can certainly be a resource if you want to find different ways and things that you can do to nourish your spirit and improve your spiritual wellness. Different things work for different people. Maybe you meditate and that's something you really enjoy doing, and that really nourishes your soul. But maybe not. Some people find it hard to sit still that long. And there might be other things you can do that are a meditative state, like the gardening that I mentioned. So anyway, so I think now we're going to have question and answer. Is that right? Okay. So we're going to have a time for questions and answers. And feel free to ask either Kelly or myself.
Any questions? Well, thank you all for coming today. Bobby and I will be up here if you want to come up and talk with us at all, if you have any individual questions. But again, we appreciate you being here. Like on the last slide, you're not alone. We're here for you. Friends Homes is here for you. Mental health, spiritual health, physical health, all important. And again, hope you have a great day.